Today we're talking yet again how the Gangster Administration in Washington tries to blackmail and bully Canada for the sole benefit of the US. The subject, the F-35 deal or no deal. We're talking about this in 3 steps. First, the pressure. How the Trump administration is leaning into Canada hard. Not politely, not diplomatically, but with threats. Second, the choice. The fighter jet decision sitting in front of Canada right now. The American F-35 or the Swedish Gripen. And third, the consequence. What it means for our Canadian sovereignty, for our airspace, and for whether Canada remains an independent country or slips quietly into a vassal state. This isn't theory, my friends, this is happening right now. Let's start with what was said. Early this month, January 2026, the US ambassador to Canada went public again. And his message, if Canada backs away from buying 88 American F-35 fighter jets, there will be consequences for Canada. Not trade penalties, not diplomatic protests, but military consequences. The ambassador said the NORAD agreement would have to be changed. He said the United States would need to step in. He said American fighter jets would fly more frequently in Canadian airspace. Yes, you heard that one right. A foreign government saying, if you don't buy our weapons, our military will operate inside your country. That's not partnership, that's coercion. And it matters because NORAD isn't just a paper agreement. It is our shared air defense system. It's supposed to be based on trust, on equality, but equality disappears when the subject turns to America's benefit. And why does the US care so much? Why is Washington so nervous about it? It's not about safety. Canada already defends its skies. It's not about capabilities. The Gripen is a modern, combat-tested aircraft. This is not about money and control. The F-35 program represents tens of billions of dollars flowing into the American economy. Factories, jobs, supply chains. If Canada walks away, that money goes somewhere else. Possibly to Europe, possibly to Sweden. And the United States does not like that idea at all. That's why the language escalated. That's why threats entered the conversation. Because Canada isn't just a customer. Canada has leverage. Now let's talk about the alternative, the Saab Gripen. First off, due to production and maintenance in Canada, the Gripen deal would create 12,600 high-paying jobs for the Canadian economy. The Gripen was designed for a country with long winters, remote bases, and limited infrastructure. Sounds just like Canada, doesn't it? The Gripen can take off from short runways, even highways. It doesn't need massive hangars or climate-controlled bases. And here's a key point that doesn't get enough attention. Canada would control the technology, not borrow it, not lease it. We would own it and control it. The software, the updates, the maintenance. With the Gripen, Canada decides when jets fly, how they fly, and when they are updated. And that is not the case with the F-35. And that is exactly what drives Trump nuts, what makes him furious. That is why he has to threaten us. Let's take a look about day-by-day fighter jet reality. Fighter jets don't help you if they are stuck in the hangar. The Gripen spends roughly 35% of its time down for maintenance. The F-35, about 50%. That means half of the fleet is grounded at any given time. Less time to fly than the Gripen. Now combine less usage time with higher costs. The F-35 costs several times more per flight hour. Fuel, parts, specialized crews. That's billions more over the life of the program. Put this on top of nearly 28 billion production costs overrun. All that money doesn't defend Canadians. That's money just to keep the lights on. Now let's address the uncomfortable part. The software. The F-35 is not a traditional aircraft, not by a long shot. It's a flying computer, and the United States controls the software, the updates, the mission data, the digital backbone. So what about if access is restricted? The jets don't work at all. Call it kill switch, call it dependency. The result is the same. If relations sour, Canada's Air Force could be grounded without a single shot fired by the US. That is not hypothetical, my friends. That is reality. If the wrong people control our military force. And then there is the elephant in the room. Stealth. Supporters of the F-35 love the word stealth. But stealth comes with conditions. Externally mounted missiles immediately remove almost all stealth benefits, and radar signature rises. At that point, the aircraft looks a lot more like every other jet, just much more expensive. And for daily sovereignty patrols, interceptions, Arctic monitoring, stealth is not a deciding factor. Reliability is, availability is, independence is. And the timing of Trump's threats is precarious too. So let's bring this back to Davos. Is it a coincidence that the orange fascist gangster threatens Canada just a few days after the World Economic Forum, where Mark Carney delivered his historic speech, and Trump's response was an utter embarrassment? When the Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke at the World Economic Forum, he didn't name names. He didn't have to. He talked about powerful countries using economic power as leverage, defense agreements becoming tools of pressure, middle powers being told to fall in line. And he said something else, that the era of quiet compliance is over. No more white gloves, no more walking on eggshells. That was not anti-American. That was pro-Canadian. And do you know what really matters about that? That Canada isn't alone. We've signed agreements with Europe. We're coordinating procurement. We are working with Sweden, Denmark, Germany, and other countries. This isn't isolation, it's diversification. It's saying we want to put all our security into one compromised basket. And that drove the orange conmen over the edge. Because control only works when there are no alternatives. Let me just reiterate something here. Let's be blunt and put it right out there. If Canada, any country really, buys weapons it cannot fully control at all times from a country that openly threatens our airspace under hostile conditions, where our jets depends on foreign permission to operate, that is not sovereignty, my friends, that is dependency, and dependency is how vassal states are made. Not with tanks, but with contracts. So that's the moment we are in. This is bigger than a fighter jet. It's bigger than a defense contract. It's about who decides what happens over Canadian skies. Is it us or the US? If you believe Canada should control its own military, please share this video. If you think threats don't belong between allies, please share this video. If you think independence still matters in 2026, please speak up and stay loud. Because once sovereignty is gone, it's almost impossible to bring it back. And this decision, we only make once. If this video gave you value, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel. It means the world to me. Your support helps me to do what I do. Thanks for watching. I'm Wilfried Lemkola from Europe Curious.